Hi, my name is Mark Risk. I'm the founder and CEO of Oombo. It's time for a change. It's been over 80 years since we've seen any changes and updates to the traffic safety equipment of frontline workers. And you might ask yourself, well, if it's been 80 years, is there even a problem? Well, flammable flares have a limited burn time of 30 minutes. They're toxic. Warning triangles, they need external light to be seen. Pylons, they're not recyclable, and 1 in 5 of them are lost in their first year. Now, all those issues can be boiled down to one severe issue, which is one in every 6 days, frontline workers killed on North American roads. The frequency of this issue, over 6 million car accidents occur annually in North America. And the collateral damage of this issue is over 1,600 tons of plastic are displaced to landfills every year because of this equipment. We need a more sustainable, a more robust solution. The Encaster Beacon is the world's first modular all-in-one solution that can be seen from a kilometer away, has the freedom to adapt to any environment, and is Bluetooth trackable if lost. You can deploy it in anywhere from traffic signaling all the way to aircraft landing applications. We sell this device for $115 a unit or lease it for $3 a month. And after 5 years, you can expect to save over $2 million just on equipment cost alone. Our competitors are doing one thing, just replacing flares. That's a third of the equation. What we're trying to do is replace all three with a 3-in-1 solution that's more sustainable and long-term, rather than short-term solutions. Now, our Ontario market right now is our obtainable market, which is all the emergency response departments. And this covers all the emergency response departments. But the global market is an $11 billion opportunity. Now, I'm a graduate from mechatronics engineering, as well as from several incubators and accelerators, where I learned the fundamentals of running a company and, of course, starting a business. Also paired with 5 key advisors ranging from intellectual property to financial advice, with combined 60 years of experience at my disposal. Now, up until this date, we bootstrapped with over $60,000 in grant funding from the government. We have a utility patent, and we have an MVP demo built, and we just got accepted into the Antler VC program. And with the first place prize, we can get production set up. And what that can do is get us early revenue, get us contracts with our pilot candidates right now, and get us key partnership with distributors. And now, as you can see here, we've done good across the board on all our pillars of business scores. And thank you so much for listening. And with your help, we can bring universal safety to the front lines.
Thank you for that presentation, Mark. It was really, really interesting. Maybe you can describe the actual physical device for us quickly.
Absolutely. So the device is comprised of 3 main components: a bulb that twists and turns off, that pops off, and the baton body, and they're all made of twist and lock components. And the baton body carries the power source, and all the electronics are placed in the bulb, right? So, the bottom attachment can depend on where your application is, and that's pretty much how the device works. There's no buttons at all. There's no complication. There's no confusion. You just deploy it, twist it, and drop it.
Okay. And so this is a product that someone would be carrying with them, like
correct,
in the trunk of your car. There's a battery. Do they have to turn it on for the light?
Oh yeah. So right now it's just you twist to turn on, but for some reason, again, it's okay, worried that it's right now it knows it's in front of people. Oh, perfect. I just twist it off. But yeah, so yeah, it will twist to turn on, and that's how you have to manually turn it on.
So this seems like a no-brainer to me. You're going to save people a lot of money. You're going to replace 3 things that emergency responders carry with them with 1. What's your barrier to entry in the market?
Barrier to entry is data. No one knows. I mean, when you show up with a new traffic safety device, conservative people will not want to go to it because there's no historical data. There's no information to see, oh, well, do the lights interfere with the police lights? Do people know what red means on the road, amber means on the road? Right, so and that's why we're targeting this barrier to entry with pilot tests. We actually are arranging pilot tests right now with local police and fire departments just to get that information, just to prove how the device works on the road, and actually get it documented in a case study. And that's what we're going to use as our secret weapon.
And how long will that take you? What's your plan around, getting the early adopters, getting the data back from them and their feedback to create that case study?
So each pilot we're setting up will take approximately 2 weeks to run. So after 3 pilots, that's about 6 weeks. So after 6 weeks, we'll have all the synthesized information, the key interviews with the decision makers, and of course the officers on the road. So we'll have 2 sets of information, and it'll take about a week to comprise put together the information in a case study, official case study. And that takes about a week. So about 7 weeks all in, that's when we can start seeing some actual traction.
One of the things that was very compelling about your presentation was the cost savings. Would you be able to walk through how you got to that cost saving number?
Sure, absolutely. So the way it works is this. Every 36 hours, this device can eliminate 432 flammable flares. That's $7 a flare. That's about $2,300 in, sorry, that's over $3,000 in expenses. But this device at $115, and you would carry 6 of these in your trunk to replace the 6 pylons, 6 triangles, and God knows how many flares. So that's how much you would need. So 6 times 115, that's 690. So that minus the over $3,000 in flares, that's about $2,300 in savings. And we took that and we asked ourselves, after a 5-year life expectancy, that's about how many chunks of 36 hours is that? That's how my division isn't so good right now with my coffee, but that's what we did. We said, oh, how many 36-hour battery lives can we fit in 5 years? We multiplied that by the savings, and we found it's over $2 million.
So I guess what I'm interested in is how you get that in people's trunks, right? Like I know that, when one of my sons bought a car, his present from us was, a safety kit to fit in the back of the car. How do you get this into their trunks?
So now this is interesting, and I'm glad you asked that question. That ties into our vision where we're headed with the Castor Beacon. This is a platform for equipment, not just another device you can throw in a trunk. what that means is it's a family of attachments you can combine into different bodies. So this baton body you see here, this is a 14-inch body. This is what we call the utility model, which means because it's a longer battery life, it can be on the scene for longer and be more robust or more reliable on the job. But for your son, he would get a shorter one, a slightly shorter one, because it's not as utility. It's not a utility application, right? It's more so like waiting until the tow truck comes, you can deploy on the road. So our vision is a lineup of different sizes and a different SKUs of different pieces to match for different applications. So there's going to be a family of products for the utility model and a family of attachments for the consumer model. That's exactly what we have in mind. But again, of course, that requires a lot more runway and more money, and that comes over time. That's why we want to secure our footing with the emergency responders, because they're the figures of authority. Mm-hmm. If they use it, that kind of tells you the kind of safety you can expect to get from this device. When we do release the consumer model, that's smaller. By the way, the smaller one should fit in all the existing third-party safety, safety kits that you see in Canadian Tire and whatnot. They would be able to fit in there. Okay.
So are there any regulatory barriers? You talked about like firefighters and emergency responders wanting to know that the lights don't conflict with their, with flashing lights and all of those kinds of things. Once you have those endorsements, mm-hmm. It's a word of mouth kind of an industry, right? So you'll get a reputation and that will help you make more sales. But are there any regulatory hurdles that you need to go over to get into like Canada or the US or other markets around the world?
So there's 2 things we need to do. We need to comply with the Highway Traffic Safety Act and the Department of Transportation Safety Act. And then we already did that. The minimum is 150 meters. Your signaling device or your warning device, and this is categorized as such, mm-hmm. in the book, you have to be seen from over 150 meters away. We're seen from 1 kilometer away. Wow. Right? So this is like, right off the bat, we exceed that. And another thing we got to do in terms of the regulation is have a certified FCC Bluetooth antenna inside it, right? And luckily, our supplier already has they already FCC certified all their Bluetooth antennas. All we have to do is just add them in, and we can just take that same certification ID, and that would by default it'll make us certified. So we already checked off all the regulatory boxes, and of course it's IPX6 waterproof too. So it's all that we have all those regulations checked off.
Great.
I know this is by no means as deep a question as all the others being asked, but Oombo, what's the origin of the name?
I'm so glad you asked that. And I'm glad you actually said it right. Some people say it Oomba, Oombuo. It's funny stuff, but but Oombo is actually from the Latin term, umbo. It's the center point of a shield. It's written, it's a UMBO. It's the center point of a circular shield, and that's really the strongest point of the shield. And that's why we created Oombo. And of course, the three crescents you see in the center, that's actually an ancient peace symbol. So that's exactly, this is everything we stand by. Like, what you see is our DNA, and that's why we exist. Like, we're here to supply good equipment for people that are risking their lives every day. We're protecting those that protect us every day. That's what we're trying to do, and that's why we made sure every detail is emblematic of this.
Can you talk a little bit about, do you have intellectual property that you've protected through this? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So we have 2 patents filed in Canada and the US, and one's in the US, one of them is granted, which just covers the basic version you see here, and the one in Canada is filed but waiting for examination. Of course, we're going to prepare for examination once we, later this year, we're using the Idea Fund grant that we got, and we just filed 2 more patents in May to cover the IoT version of this product. So this is what I was talking about when it comes to the product line. There's a lot more information you can get from roads right now that's not being collected. At the scene and at the roadside, it can actually connect to other applications such as Google Maps and Waze. So we see a more smart city approach with this device rather than just a safety device approach. So we have, right now we filed for 4, we got 1 pretty much. Yeah. It protects the modular light beacon. That's what the first one that we got granted. It protects the modular emergency signaling device as durable as well. That's what that patent really covers. And of course, just the structure of how it's built. So no one else can do a modular device like us in the US.
That's great. Thank you so much for your presentation today, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you.